We are about to prep some amazing Osso Buco. Check out these cuts that we got after they defrosted. I have second guesses. Maybe I should have cooked 4 or 5, but three's company for today. We got some bone broth that we're gonna soak it in, a couple onions, black pepper, ghee, salt. We got some thyme, rosemary. We got our spatula as well as our tongs. We got our Dutch oven, and then we also have a cast iron just so we can save time, cook everything simultaneously. Now I'm handing the camera, also my phone, over to my far right Latino girlfriend. Step number 1, we're gonna preheat the oven. We're gonna have it a little bit low, 275. A lot of instructions call for a little bit higher than that. But last time we braised beef last week, we did it at 275 and it was delicious. So first things first, we are going to start salting the meat. We're just gonna put salt and pepper on both sides of it. A lot of recipes will call for flour. We had the option to put almond flour on, but I don't really know why we want to put flour on something that can be deliciously seared without flour. We can have our carbs in the form of rice later, gluten-free for those keeping score at home. So we're gonna wanna salt these a little bit liberally because that's gonna add to the sear, but then these are also quite thick cuts of meat. So they taste better when there's a good amount of salt on them. And of course, a little bit of pepper while we heat up our Dutch oven. And we keep in mind our theme of today, which is mental gymnastics surrounding Biden's obvious mental decline. I have an interesting story from making fun of my dad last night and his disbelief of far-right conspiracy theories. Okay, so on the second pan, I'm just gonna add a little bit of bacon grease. Now you can cook this in one single pan, but in the interest of time, we're gonna cook 2. We're gonna get this second pan heated up, and then we're gonna put the fan on low. All right, while that heats up, we're going to add our pepper to the other side of the shanks. And we have our trusty paper towels underneath because everybody knows liquid is the enemy of a good sear. And we can see that these towels have absorbed about all they're going to absorb. Okay, so.
Is there wrapping on the Osso Buco on the outside?
All right, Latino girlfriend asked if there's wrapping. Good question. No, this is what looks to be, if I had anatomy better, I would know what the exact name of this is. But it looks like it's, no, it's food. Getting a little spicy up in here with the pepper going up my nose. So flip those around, add some salt and pepper on the backside as we continue to talk through the mental gymnastics of people on the left defending Biden and his mental decline. So my dad thinks that I'm crazy. He thinks that there's something emotionally wrong with me for my willingness to engage in far-right conspiracy theories. He actually thinks every far-right conspiracy theory is on the level of QAnon. They're all the same to him and they're all wrong. And they're all believed by deranged people. And so after the report yesterday came out that declared Biden most likely unfit mentally to stand trial, as for a significant reason for lack of a prosecution case for him and his mishandling of classified documents, I texted my dad and I asked him what his opinion was. He said he spent 30 minutes researching the case. He's a lawyer himself. And his statement was, I would rather have a demented president, which I would assume that means he has dementia, not demented in the colloquial sense, but dementia in the sense that this guy probably has dementia. I would rather have a demented president than, I don't know if you call Trump a fascist dictator or just like, Hitler basically, in office. And Basically, his belief is that machines run themselves. So, one of the key fallacies of the left, and this has a lot to do with Marxist ideology, Marxist indoctrination. Got a nice knife right here.
It's ready. That's too hot.
All right, we're gonna throw that lamb on, throw that shank on, let that sear. Okay, so as we think about leftist indoctrination in Marxist economic theory kind of posits that management doesn't do anything. All they do is just detract value. Yeah, I don't like the fact that this onion's gotten a little rot on the center of it. What do you think? Should we throw the whole thing out, or should we just cut half?
Just cut half.
All right. I'll let the girlfriend decide the extent to which I'm allowed to dabble in unhygienic things like cutting out a quarter of the rot of the onion I've done right now. So that's what we're going to do. The onions have been in the refrigerator for a while. We've got a huge bag. We've been cooking like 5 onions per week. Doing my best to eat as many as possible. And we probably got about 80% of them consumed, but fell short of 100%. I think anything over 75% is considered a win. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to chop up this onion a little bit more before we throw it in the cast iron pan. We're going to take this. We're going to spread it around just a little bit so the liquid gets in between the shank and the pan, just so we don't have the salt and pepper getting super charred before the rest of the meat gets charred. And while we do that, we are going to continue chopping up this onion before we throw it in the cast iron. Okay, so thinking back to Marxist economics, Marxists, communists, leftists, they're all the same. They're all one flavor of the same cancer. They don't believe that management actually does anything, because if you don't believe in, like, you think all wealth is unearned, you think that, well, the people who get paid more at the company are just exploiting workers. They're capturing what's called the exploitation ratio, I believe. If I'm thinking back to my Marxist economics classes at Vanderbilt, I didn't take Marxist economics classes, but we learned Marxism within my economic theory classes. There's something called the exploitation ratio, which is essentially the percent of profit that a company makes beyond what it pays its worker, because they believe that profits are solely due to exploitation. Okay, that's not done yet. We're going to let that sit for just a little bit longer. While we throw our onions in the second pan. And if you're not going to make Chef Alex Osso Buco, there's much more complicated instructions that we're not going to do, partially due to allergies, partially due to me thinking that they're superfluous and they probably wouldn't taste that good. And so we're going to cook this very similarly to braised beef, because braised beef is going to taste great in the Dutch oven. Opened up this for me for Christmas. It's proving to open the door to many delicious new meals, so we very much appreciate that. A little bit more onion here. Okay, so thinking back to Marxist economic theory, they think that buses drive themselves. And so this is one of the reasons why they don't have problems taxing people, is because they think all wealth is unearned, and they think all wealth is unearned because they think that the people who sit at the top of the corporation just like smoke cigars and yell at people and tell them what to do, without any degree of skill or logic or training behind it. And so this is actually amusingly very closely aligned to my dad's belief in what a president does. And he thinks a president can't really do anything good, but a president can do a lot of things bad. And because I don't think that there's a narrative that the mainstream media has pushed in the last 5 or 10 years that he doesn't believe, he thinks that Trump is definitely we're going to sear a couple of these at the same time. We could do 3 of these at the same time, but I actually think that's a little bit much. Now, the meat is coming up on me just a little bit. I just thawed these earlier today, so I think we probably could have stayed outside for another 45 minutes before throwing them on, but Chef Alex eating purpose, and your cooking doesn't need to be if you want to taste it. Okay, so when I asked my dad what his thoughts were on the fact that Biden having dementia was considered a far-right conspiracy theory as recently as 2020, my dad's response was, believe it or not, he does not think Biden actually had dementia in 2020. He thinks that Biden is close to 80 and this cognitive decline is normal for somebody of his age, and he pointed to the debate, which, to my surprise, Biden did a lot better than I expected him to do on a debate. We all thought Trump would wipe the floor with him. I didn't even think that the debate would have happened. I thought that the Democrats were going to say, well, due to racism, we're just not going to do them. And perhaps...
But this is 3 years ago, and Trump had COVID on the first debate.
Trump had COVID in
Yeah.
the first debate? Yeah, but Biden still didn't talk like...
As slowly as he does now.
Yeah, and if you just saw the debates, you would not think that, okay, this guy obviously has dementia. Clearly he wasn't Vladimir Putin in the debates, but he also wasn't Joe Biden in 2023. But there were other times in 2020 where he very much was Joe Biden, 2023, 2024, which begs the question, if he had woken up and it was one of those days where that was a likely outcome and the debate was that night, what would have his team done? Would his team have allowed him to debate, or would his team have come up with some reason for a delay? And I actually think that if they're quasi-competent, they would have come up with a reason for delay. Okay. We are multitasking here, which means I am cooking 2 things at once, because this won't be ready for a couple hours. I'm actually baking for what it will be eating at the moment. Okay, so this looks pretty good. We're going to turn this around. That's almost ready. Put that in.
Here's a question. So what if the 24 is just a repeat of 2020 debates? I think they're going to get out of it.
Okay, so what debates are going to happen right now? Well, I think the Democrats need to figure out who they're going to run. Are they going to run Biden?
Yes.
And then if they're going to run Biden, they'll come up, they can come up with a rule saying, we refuse to debate insurrectionists.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen.
And so, and I'm surprised that, again, that some variant of that didn't happen in 2020. We refused to debate racists, we refused to debate. Like, the thing that leftists are very good at, that people don't give them enough credit for, is they're very good at avoiding fair fights when those fair fights will result in them losing. Don't forget that. Let me say this one more time. Leftists are very good at avoiding fair fights when these fair fights will obviously result in them losing. Okay? I just removed one of the shanks because it has been seared to the extent that it's going to get seared. And then now I am cutting the other onion, which I think should be doing a little bit better than the other one. Yep, that doesn't show signs of rot. All right. Other side looks good. So we're going to quarter this. So yeah, I think that, what do they have to gain, really? I don't know. There has to be some sort of Hail Mary strategy, because I don't think they're going to go into an election with Trump beating Biden by like 15 points in the polls without a strategy for circumventing.
Speak louder.
I don't think that the Democrats are dumb enough, because remember, leftists...
Is it on? Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Just speak louder.
Are they not hearing it?
No, speak louder.
Okay. Leftists avoid fights that they know they're going to lose. And because they avoid fights that they know they're going to lose, you know that if they know they're going to lose the election by 15 points, they're going to avoid it. Now, that doesn't mean that they cancel the election, but it means that
Louder.
similar shenanigans that have happened in the last election cycle will most likely happen again. Did that thing come out from underneath? It's possible.
No. Just talk regularly, just louder.
The people, you can hear me?
Don't shout.
All right. Trying my best, guys. Trying my best. Okay. So this thing's coming up again. So, never expect leftists to engage in a fair fight, right? If you think about how the animal kingdom works, study, there is a specific type of beetle where when it is outmaneuvered or outgunned in terms of strength, will not engage with other males. The traditional way, males will fight for access to a female. It will try to circumvent the normal head-to-head combat and try to diagonally drill for the female. And so this is very common. This is what leftists do. All right, we're flipping this now.
Got a question about the Super Bowl. Does it surprise you that people care about the Super Bowl? And who cares about Kansas City or Missouri?
Does it surprise me that people care about the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I had an Uber driver who, he was wearing a Joe Montana jersey. And so I asked him, I know he asked me about the game. I didn't ask him about it. He asked me if I saw the game yesterday. This is referring to the NFC Championship game between the Niners and the Lions. And I had not seen the game because we don't have cable. But I knew what happened because, I'm from San Francisco and I was curious. If I have to root for a team, it will be the 49ers. All right, now we're going to transfer.
Boo!
Now we're going to transfer the onions to the... It's probably a dangerous maneuver considering how expensive the Dutch oven is relative to the thing that I'm pulling. That would probably break it, but we live on the edge sometimes. Okay, so this guy, he drives Uber, which means maybe he's making $50,000 a year, I would think, right? Because his time can't, if he's working for Uber, like you just don't make money working for Uber. Your car depreciates and you don't get paid for it. So, I'm starting to understand why they're coating the Osso Buco with flour. And my sense is it's because these are going to be cooked through too quickly when we put them in there. So we're going to have to do a little bit of a pivot, and this might actually be ready in about an hour. It's not going to be as tender as it should, but we learn as we go, Okay, so
So
okay,
keep talking about the Super Bowl. What's the appeal of the Super Bowl?
So this guy, he's making maybe $50K a year driving Ubers, and starts telling me about these streaming options that, I'm going to spend $500 because I'm a 49ers fan. I'm going to have to spend $500 next year to watch their games. And I'm thinking like, man, that's crazy. This guy's spending 1% of his income to try to watch the 49ers. And then as I think more about it, I'm like, well, it's probably better than him spending that money on drugs or alcohol, which he may also be spending his money on. But then, as my girlfriend was telling me, like a lot of men are lonely and they don't have much going on in life. And, American sports are insanely entertaining, by the way. They're insanely entertaining. Not to say that I watch them when I don't know people competing in them. Okay, so we're going to turn this off. We're going to add the shanks back to the mix. Going to for, move this around. Okay, so American sports are very entertaining, and American men are trying to escape the realities of life. Okay, so we pour that in, put these in. That's probably good. We can, three's good. We're gonna need a fourth one. And then we're gonna pour some of this meat juice back in here. All right. Okay. Now we are ready to put the Dutch oven in the regular oven. All right, we're supposed to put these in for a couple hours, but I think that's wrong. I think that's gonna be too much for these specific ones, so I'm gonna check them in about 1 hour at 275, and then they might go another 45 minutes after that. I'll let you know, probably on Twitter, how long these actually went for. But they're probably going to taste good, even though we didn't follow any of the instructions that you would see. You're supposed to put white wine on there, but we didn't do that. That's how Chef Alex does it, because we don't have time to be actual Michelin star chefs. We need to figure out what's important about cooking and do those things, and then skip about 4 steps. One thing that we forgot to do is add thyme and rosemary. So I'm going to open this up and do this real quickly. All right. Gotta be very careful with this so it doesn't slide out. And cool. Put this back on.
You have a question about whether it's better to have chicken or eggs.
Is it better to have chicken or eggs? It
Yeah.
depends.
Louder. Talk louder.
Eggs have more nutrients in them. Eggs will fill you up more. Chicken has more protein typically, particularly white meat chicken. And so if you want to be fuller longer, eat eggs. If you want more protein per bite, eat chicken. You can also have both. It really depends on what your goals are and how your body processes both of those. My girlfriend and I found out that each of us is supposedly allergic to a different portion of, we got some more bone marrow by the way. Cooking this while we cook the actual lunches that we're gonna be eating. So, okay, so chicken, eggs, again, that really depends on you as the individual, and what your goals are and how your body processes each of those things. And while we cannot do our taste test right now, I will take a bite of this. When we take it out in an hour to an hour and 45 minutes, and I'll let you know if Chef Alex missed. I don't think he will, but he might. He does miss sometimes. We'll catch up with you soon. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this topic, please comment on it, or write me a comment on Twitter, letting me know, or X, letting me know what you think about Biden's mental decline or Osso Buco, Alex style. Peace out.